Boom, guys, welcome to the Bold Effect Podcast. I am your host, Mamadou Diallo. Guys, listen, this is a podcast where I bring bold entrepreneurs like Brittanie here sitting next to me. Guys, she is a killer wholesaler, investor, like do it all, trader, right? She knows about trading. Like I'm telling you guys not even ready. So make sure you sit back, relax, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and then we'll get right into it. If you're new to this channel, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Don't forget. So, Brittanie, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Brittanie Bell. I am a real estate investor, formerly known as a option trader. I am the owner of Bell Acquisitions, a 7-figure real estate company. I am only a year into real estate and I have done over 40 deals in under a year. So little to no experience, little to no money, and I was able to do that. So that's what a lot of people know me for.
4-0.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So let's get into it, guys. So today, what we're gonna talk about really is her journey, right? How was she able to get into wholesaling real estate? Because I'm assuming you're only what 1 year in.
A little over a year.
Okay, a little over a year. She started no experience whatsoever, right? As you guys know, wholesaling real estate is probably the easiest and lowest barrier to enter into real estate with no money, no credit, no license, right? So we're just gonna talk about her journey. So that might help you guys. For some of you that are still stuck, but you want to get into this, you want to do this real estate stuff, but you don't know where to start, okay? So we're gonna talk about her wins, losses, and all that fun stuff. So tell me, Brittanie, first is how did you even discover wholesaling real estate?
Okay. So essentially, I had started trading, and essentially, I made a lot of money trading Tesla. A lot of people knew me for trading Tesla and also making a lot of money in Bitcoin. I was trying to figure out something to do, and I had a friend who also had made a lot of money trading as well. We were in a trading group together, and he was like, Brittanie, your average person will never see that type of money in their lifetime trading. You need to find something and like start a business and do something safe, basically, because you could have made all this money and you can keep trading and risk it and lose it all. Like, don't lose all the money you made. That was the biggest takeaway that I got from the conversation. And so I was like, okay, let me try to find something. Let me like figure out something that, I could make money. And I had a friend that I was doing flips with at the time, which is now my mentor, Benny. And I basically hit him like, what's up? I keep seeing you post about this real estate stuff. Like, I got money. I'm trying to figure out like what to do with it before I just go and like go shopping, travel the world, and just keep living life.
Right.
And so he's like, yeah, I got you. Like, if you want to learn, like, I got you. And like, literally, it's so funny because like I literally still have the messages till today. Like, I had followed up multiple times. So I feel like if you really want something, you have to continue to follow up on it or continue to learn about it. It took for me like 3 times to like say, hey, don't forget, I really want to learn this. I really don't want to lose this money. I just came up on a lot of money and I just like, I'm trying to figure something out.
How much was it?
How much I made trading?
Yeah.
Almost 300 grand in like five months. Yeah. So that's why my friend was like, and I started with $4,000. I started trading with $4,000 September 2019.
Is that what they call day trading? Like
so I was a day trader, yeah, but I did option trading. So
okay.
But I also was a little bit in crypto, but the most money that I made was through trading options.
300. So you invested $4,000 and you turned that into 300 grand.
More than that, but obviously I had some losses.
That is a crazy return.
Like my 1099, I think, was almost 600 grand for that year. But obviously, I pulled some money out.
Absolutely.
And,
okay, so basically you made 300 grand, and then you're like, okay. I mean, yeah, you got an advice that hey, you made all this money, you better start investing before. Because like I see a lot of people do that, like they make money in crypto, stocks and stuff, but they keep gambling and gambling. Not gambling, but like they keep doing that.
You can't gamble though.
Right. And then they lose it all.
Yes.
All of a sudden they wake up in the morning, their portfolio is worth 0.
Yes.
And like you said, they haven't invested in any other business, just pull out the money and invest. But you were lucky enough to have people in the network that gave you that advice. So what you decided to do is, okay, I made 300 grand. Let me find an actual business I can start and grow this money. Is that where that came from?
Yeah. So like basically, like my friend Marcus, that's who the one who told me to like figure something out because he had like other businesses. He like has turos and stuff like that. He was like, just find something you can do. I don't care if it's Airbnb or something.
So for you, what you decided to do is let me take this 300 grand and just grow it. That's where like your journey in real estate started. Is that it?
So I did have that much, but I did not use that money to get into real estate. Like
Yeah.
I thought I was going to use all of it to get into real estate, but basically the method that Benny ended up teaching me, you didn't really need money to do it. But the thing is, I feel like one thing that a lot of people don't like say is that you can spend money starting a wholesale business because I wasn't your average wholesaler. Like I didn't have like $0. I had money to play with, so there was strategies that I did starting out that I felt like if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have done it. Like I spent 10 grand trying Facebook ads. That was a waste of money. Yeah, that was a waste of money.
And your first month?
Oh no. Okay, let me rewind. So I bought 5 VAs. I spent $3,400 and that was a waste of money. And I said it was a waste of money because I didn't have enough knowledge. I was trying to move too fast. I was trying to scale too fast before I understood the business.
Right.
So I did that thinking, oh, the more people I contact, the more, And like my mentor at the time told me like, just get one. If you're gonna get anybody, just get one and then work your way up. And I was like, nope, I want to do more. Because
for somebody that is new that don't even know what VA means, what is that?
A virtual assistant.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, basically virtual assistant, have them do the cold calling and do the follow up. And I had a manager that managed them, and I always told like when I ended up growing my team later down the road, I was like, if I could go back, I would rehire them and train them and treat them like us, like Americans. Like just because they're from another country doesn't mean that they're not people, right?
A lot of people treat them like they're actual literal virtual, but they're actually real human beings.
Yeah, so like if I were to ever rehire, I would know exactly how I would do it this time, and I know I would have better success because now I'm experienced in wholesaling, so I would know how to properly train them to be able to give me like actual 10x results. I feel like when I had them, I didn't know what I was doing, and I always tell people now, like if you're gonna get into wholesale, like or any type of thing in real estate, like learn and perfect the business first by yourself before you get to trying to scale out and do all these automations and systems. That's something that I like had to learn the hard way because, like I said, when I got into it, I was like, oh, I got money to play with. Let me just try every single strategy. So I was trying all these things. Like I hired VAs because I kept seeing people on YouTube. I hired a company for Facebook, and mind you, I never told my mentor I was doing these things until after I did it. And he's like, if you're gonna keep giving these people money and you're not gonna listen to me, give me the money. Like that's what he told me. And so after Facebook, I ended up doing a skip tracing company. I paid them like $24,000 for skip tracing for leads, and it was not worth it.
Hold on.
I know I said a lot.
$24,000 for skip tracing.
Yes.
How many records?
I don't want to talk about it. It's a lot. Like so it was, in my opinion, it was like a finesse. I feel like it was like almost 30 cents a lead. It was very expensive, and then they charged you a monthly to manage your leads. So imagine I had a background of marketing, right? So it's like me having a client and saying, hey, I'm gonna charge you $2,000 because I'm gonna be managing your account. I'm gonna be doing active outreach. I'm gonna be pulling, data and things of this nature. So they charge a monthly rate to manage your stuff, and it was crazy. A lot of people promote them. I won't say who it is, but there's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about them, and none of our out of the 46 deals, not one of them came from those leads.
That's crazy. So it's funny that you say that because a lot of newbies actually fall into those type of traps. I know that first mistake that you said was the virtual assistants.
Yeah. Hiring
too soon and hiring a lot of them too soon. When I first got started, like you said, every single guru online on YouTube is saying hire VA. So the first time that I discovered there's such thing as VAs, I made the same mistake. I went and hired 4. Because I'm thinking, okay, I want to do like 50 grand a month. Let me because I'm thinking they're going to build my business. I had no clue what I was doing. Doing Uber and Lyft, have no time to train them. Like I'm out at 5, driving all day. So he's like, hey, skip trace the list. Here's the list. Make your calls, and then I'll check later. It took me 6 months of marketing wasted money out of the window to figure out that this was wrong. It's not how you hire VAs. Like I wasn't even keeping track, making sure they're making the calls, blah, blah. One day I decided, you know what, let me just sit today. Because I haven't, 6 months in, still haven't closed a deal. I'm paying all this so I'm paying them their salary out of my Uber money that I'm making, right? So it was like, oh gosh, okay. Then I started like one Saturday, I sat down and then I started listening in. Like at the time, I was using uh, what was this dialer? I forgot the name of the dialer, but basically you can listen. Call tools, I think it's called. You can listen in.
Yes.
And spy on them. And as I was listening in, like one of them was like literally taking a nap, snoring in the middle of the day. But what she did is she had the dialer running by itself. So he's dialing, people are picking up, but she's sleeping. And one of them, what I discovered is, I do sometimes do call calibration. So I'll listen to the calls, give them feedback. What she did is one of those calls that we listen to, she was playing it like she was on the phone on a recorder. How I knew it because 3 days prior I did listen to that call, so I recognized the exact call that I gave her feedback. I'm like, this is a recorder. There's no way that this is an actual. Yeah, she was sleeping, and so I was like, oh shoot, this is not how you do it. I don't know how to manage these people. I don't know how to train them. I'm not totally blaming them because they didn't know what to do.
It was like, your fault too.
Right. Here's a list, and then do it is like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So that's the number one mistake. A lot of people do that, guys. If you're just getting started, especially like if you don't have any sales background, you've never cold called yourself, like you don't even know what a flow of a call is like. How would you train a VA if you never made the call?
Yep.
And that's the challenge, right? And so the VAs know that, by the way. It's just because they need the money. They know when you don't know because like most of them like they bounce from wholesaler to wholesaler to wholesaler. So like they kind of know if you don't know because like you're not giving them the training, you know what I mean? So that's number one. That's number one mistake, guys. Don't hire too soon. Especially don't hire a lot too soon.
And I would say also don't hire if you don't know the business. Like I feel like for me, the VAs would have worked, but I barely even knew like really what wholesale was. I just knew that this is a strategy that I could make money. And I felt like, okay, let me hire people to help me do it. And I should have just listened to my mentor. Also, if you have like a mentor or coach, I feel like you should listen to them because they already have done it. They know like rights and wrongs. But I feel like as humans, we think we know, like, oh, I'm gonna just go try this. And that's me. I'm very curious. I like to figure things out. So for me, it was like, okay, I know you said to like take my time and just do it myself. But at the time, I was still an active trader. Like I'm up at 5 a.m. trading. So for me, it was like I wanted the VAs so that way I could still trade and start this business. Like for me, that was like my logic. Going into it. And I feel like the thing is, so like even with VAs, like they could have worked. I didn't have the experience of them sleeping in. They were actually making the calls and even sending me a lot of leads. But for me, I didn't even know how to properly execute or be a closer at the time. So it's like they might have warmed me a lead up, but I didn't know how to close it. Like I wasn't a strong enough closer. I didn't even know how to close a deal. I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't know sellers' objections. So it's like, to me, you have to learn the business first. So now when I talk to newbies and they ask me like, how did I get started or what should they do? I tell them all the time, like, you need to perfect your sales script, how you talk, how you negotiate, how you run your numbers. Like you perfect those things and then you can get to go train somebody else. Like close your first deal before you start thinking about hiring somebody. That's like what like my biggest model. Like you want to do this, cool. You want to like, and also there's nothing wrong with JVing. Like I feel like there's like this very negative connotation behind JVing, and like I JV'd my first 5 deals. Like, yeah, I could have made more money, cool, but like I learned so much stuff. I was able to build relationships and understand the process of transaction coordinating, management, operations, systems, attorney relationships, like everything.
100%.
Like going into it, if I would have done it myself, I would have lost out on those lessons. So, to some people, I think they think, oh, I've been trying to get a wholesale deal. I've been wanting to close a deal, and they want to like make all of the profit. Whereas I feel like it's almost priceless. It's like you can't put a price to it, right?
I mean, 100% of nothing is not better than 50% of something.
Yeah.
And like you said, like I'm sure you do in your DMs, and I do. A lot of newbies hit up, and they've been trying to do this a year, 2. I'm like, okay, there is a problem. It's either one, you're not consistent on the action. Number 2, you don't want to JV with anybody. You just want to figure this all out by yourself. And so you just keep like jumping from stuff to stuff, and you're getting potential deals, but because you don't know how to negotiate, you don't know yet how to close a seller.
Yeah.
You have all these leads in your CRM, but you cannot convert, right? So there's a lot of people like that struggle because yes, they don't want to JV. So guys, that's another thing. Like JV with people that have experience, and that's gonna like, and that's, to me, that's like a cheat code. It's really like a cheat code, JVing, because it's like I don't have to know everything from A to Z. I can just know A and find somebody that know B, C, D, and help me get a deal to the finish line. Which is, but it's funny. My first 3 deals, all JVs do.
Yeah,
because for me it was a no-brainer. It was like, bro, I'm not okay. Are you telling me if I call, they say they're motivated, I call you, you close? Yeah, dude, you got it. I'll just go make the calls. The other thing also I noticed, Brittanie, and I'm sure you, and I'll ask you this: how about newbies that get into this? And I think the other mistake, and me and you spoke about this before, but in terms of mentors. Yeah. When I say mentors, it could be a mentor that you pay, but oftentimes most people, when they start this business, they don't have the money, so they cannot pay a mentor anyway. But it's online mentors, virtual mentors, somebody listening to on YouTube. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to get started, and they're on YouTube, Zooms? Like, what advice? Because like that's
like the number one thing, and this is something my mentor taught me, is find someone you like and stick with them. Like, don't be trying to take advice from 5 different mentors or 5 different coaches or 5 different people you see on YouTube. Find 1 or 2 that you like and stick with them. Even if you can't afford to pay somebody, find someone and stick with them. Because like the biggest thing that my mentor taught me was there's a million ways to skin the cat. Like, you can do this deal a million different ways, but you got to find out what works for you. Find a coaching style that works for you. Find a sales strategy, an exit strategy that you think that you can actually execute, and stick with it. And then also, like, don't like do it for a week and say, oh, this isn't working. Like, literally, like for me,
oh, that's a good one.
I know you said 6 months, but like I basically got I have basically got 5 deals under contract after about, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks. They did not close. Only 3 of them closed. But I would say out of the 5, 4 of them were deals. 1 of them just didn't close because the title wasn't clear. And then the other 3 closed within that 21 to 30 day span. And the thing that I feel like worked for me was literally, like, I was so frustrated. I remember saying, like, this isn't working, because I thought it was the leads. I'm like, oh, why am I getting so many wrong numbers? Or, don't contact me, or go to hells. But I had to learn, and now that I'm in the business, I always tell like people that like ask me for advice, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with your leads. That's part of the game. 90% of the people that you reach out to are not interested, or they're dead leads, or like the wrong numbers. That's a part of the game. You're gonna pay for bad leads. That's just a part of it. Like anyone that's telling you I can get you great data is cap.
Yes, is gurus say that you typically use this platform, that platform, they're better than this, is because they have affiliated links, guys. They have affiliate links. It's every single body out here, nobody have skip tracing, for example, and we're gonna go back to that. Like, you spend $24,000 on the skip. Like, I wanna know that story.
Yeah.
Like, list from what, why 24, like, that's crazy. But guys, there is no company out here that actually have 100% accuracy at all. You're always gonna get, the closest you're gonna get is probably 75, 80. Some claim 99.9, right? They will give you that. It's not the case. This is why wholesaling, and I'm sure you're gonna agree to this, wholesaling is not really a sales business, guys. It is a marketing business.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. Yeah. So I know for sure if I'm really consistent, I'm making my calls, I'm texting consistently, if I get 50 leads on average, 50 leads. Now we're gonna define leads. For me, a lead, and and I'll ask you what your definition of a lead is. For me, a lead is somebody that raised their hand when you called them or texted them, said, yes, I am interested in selling, but on top of being interested in selling, they also have other components that goes along with that. So for example, they have a reason for selling, the motivation. There has to be a motivation. It's not just somebody who go, oh yeah, if you make me the right offer, I'm gonna sell. My house is worth $300, but if you buy it for $400, I'm gonna sell. For me, that's not a lead, right? A lead is somebody who has a motivation to sell. Now, the motivation doesn't have to be financial pain motivation, right? Like, for example, we do a lot of deals where it's like seller finance, subject to, but typically seller finance is people that own the properties free and clear. These people, they'll sell you their house on terms, Like they'll say, hey, give me a down payment, make me monthly payments, right? So essentially they become the bank. The only thing is they're just married to a number. They don't want to sell at a discount because wholesaling is you go get properties, 30 cents on the dollar, then you assign it for a fee, right? But when it comes to sellers and seller finance, they're actually gain motivated. They're not paying. They're not. You're not gonna convince them to sell you their house at 70% of its value, if that makes sense. But they're motivated in the sense of they want to see the property go. Hey, I'm old. I don't want to manage it anymore, or whatever. I don't need it anymore. I'm moving out. I'm downsizing. I don't want to keep it. I don't want to rent it. I don't want to sell it on the MLS. Like once you disqualify all those things, the only option left is no. I really want to see it go, but I want $300,000. I'm not gonna go down because I'm not desperate for the money. That's a motivated seller. To me, that's a lead. But somebody who's just entertaining offers, typically we just pass on because it's like, okay, like me too. If you offer me $100,000 more than what my house is worth, of course I'm gonna move tomorrow. So what's your definition of a lead?
Okay, so it's crazy because like you just saying that, I really just started like even analyzing what do we define as a lead, because to me, I always tell my team like there's a difference between nurturing a lead, what a warm lead is, and a hot lead. That's 100%. How we like kind of look at ours. Nurturing is somebody to us that you're just having a conversation with. They're responding back. They talking back, right? Or they might have said that they're interested in an offer, or they're willing to hear you out on your pitch, right? That's you're nurturing that lead. A warm lead is somebody that maybe you've gone back and forth. Like maybe you said 100,000, they're like 150, and you're like 115, and they like 125. That's a warm lead. A hot lead to us is like they've provided you their email, they've said come out, or they've sent photos, or they've given enough interest where they're like, okay, well, they've given you a pain point, maybe like, oh, well, my daughters aren't going to be able to finish school until June, so I'm gonna wait until June to move. Okay, that they want to sell. 100%. They're interested in selling. They want to move because they want to move closer to their daughter's school. So now that's a hot lead. You got to be able to strategize and provide a solution to make it happen sooner than later. Right. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Right. So that's something that I look at as a hot lead. Someone that you can basically, if you can close them in 30 days, you could if you structure the deal right. To me,
they're ready to go.
Yeah. And the thing is, something that I've noticed is, and I'm curious for you, like, have you ever had a lead that was a hot lead, or you thought was a hot lead, and they just ghost you? How do you handle that? How do you have a follow-up process? Do you have a system, automation? Like, what do you do if you have a hot lead that you thought was going to close and they just ghost you? Like, have you had that happen?
So they agreed. So they agreed. You guys agreed on price. They're ready to go.
You send them the offer.
You send them the offer, and all of a sudden, happens all the time.
Yeah.
So there's a saying in real estate, especially in our sub 2 network, is buyers are liars, but sellers are worse.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, that will happen to you. People will ghost you, or sometimes even worse, they sign the actual contract, you open escrow,
and they still
in the middle of the transaction. They just ghost you, change their mind, they go behind your back, because somebody is always, 100% of the time, is because somebody else called them and offered them $100 more than you, which is fine. So for me, my follow-up process, here's how it works. Now, the thing is, you and I both know now, you cannot get every deal.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, you are going to have sellers that back out in the middle of a transaction. Or three, sometimes the deal start well, the seller don't back out, the contract is fine, you open escrow, but at the close of escrow, right, something happens, a liens comes up that you didn't expect, kill the all the numbers, the whole deal, right? Like, hey, at a $50,000 lien that we didn't know about, right, can kill the deal at close of escrow. I'm just saying there's so many factors that can kill a deal, but in terms of and I'm gonna come to your question about in terms of the follow process. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I see a lot of newbies, they count their chickens before they hatch.
It closes, of course. I was like that too.
In wholesaling real estate, actually real estate in general, until the check actually hits your account,
it ain't real.
The deal is not done, right? You and I both know that. But in terms of the follow-up process, man, when I learned the lesson about the VAs and I started like co-calling myself and stuff, I became relentless. What I do is when I follow up with a seller and they're ready to go, I send the contract and they ghost me. I call at the time I was living inside my older brother's basement. So that's where I would cold call and text, right? I would go up, I would call with my brother's number. At the time, I didn't know better. I didn't even know I was that stupid. I didn't even know it was automated dialers. Can you believe I didn't know? So
Okay.
I was using Google Voice, and so what I would do is I would use my brother's number and call them with a different number. If they don't pick up, I'll use my niece's number. So I'll call and text, call and text,
You
call
were
and
manually
text.
doing it.
I was manually doing it, right? I'll tell you a story on how a lady like that, I ended up closing her with 3 different names. Three different
Wow.
names. So this was an absentee owner list. Texted her the first time because she never, for some reason she doesn't like to talk on the phone, but she will respond to text. Okay, weird.
Happens.
But later I understood why. So the first time I got in touch with her, she's like, "Yes, I'm interested in selling. Here's the number that I want." Me being a newbie, I went on Facebook, found somebody like you said, JV. I found somebody that know how to do comps. He comes and said, "Bro, that's a deal all day long. Lock it up." I said, "Okay." Texted her back, and I said, "I can do that number." All of a sudden, nothing, crickets, right? And that's where I went to my brother. So at first I started with Mamadou. When I took my brother's phone, I became Tony. And then after that, she started responding with that. It took me 8 months to close that lead, by the way. I followed up 8 freaking months, FYI. So by the time we closed, I was 9 months in follow up. Antoinette, her name is Antoinette. Up to today, probably 2-3 years later, I still talk to that lady because she was so grateful when we closed. Because when she told me the story when we like met at the property, then I understood why she didn't want to talk on the phone. She didn't want to tell the story of what's going on with the property. She's afraid, right? And so anyway, so I follow up with her. So I started Mamadou, and then with my brother I was Tony, and then with my niece's phone I was Kevin. So she was talking with these 3 people. So what I started doing is Mamadou started with the cash, and then Tony was negotiating with creative finance, and then Kevin was just like asking about like the motivation and all that. But when we went to face-to-face appointment,
You knew all of them.
no. So what I was doing for her, she's talking to 3 different investors.
Yeah.
But it's me. Like, but here's what I was doing. I was using the data that Tony got. So if I text as Mamadou, right? She said no to $78,000. Okay, because like at first she said yes, I would take 78. It was a deal. Then when I came back, I said it's a deal. Then she ghosted. Then she was like, oh no, now I want more. I forgot what the number she brought. So now I know from the text from Mamadou, 78 is not the number. So Tony now is using a different approach, right? And then Kevin is a different approach in terms of like I'm talking more. I'm not even talking numbers. I'm like, hey, I really need to get you on the phone. I need to understand what's going on in order. So I'm using all these 3 different informations I'm getting from her because she's responding like she's giving different information to different people to her in her head, right? But it was just me. But the day she decided, hey, just come see the property, that day she was responding to Tony from my older brother's phone. So I went there as Tony. I didn't go as Mamadou. So up to today, she still calls me Tony, by the way.
Wow.
I say that. So I went to the property. Then when we met in person, it was a different rapport. Like that, like she was like, I'm really good with people. So we started talking there. Then she really opened up. The problem was this lady is dealing with a property. Is a rental, and she have one tenant that is became a junkie, I guess. The tenant stopped paying rent. That's number one. Number two, what the tenant did is it was a 2-bed, 2-bath. What the tenant did is she forged a lease and she subleased the 2nd bedroom to her drug dealer.
Okay.
Right?
That's some tea.
I know, right? And that's a guy she met randomly somewhere. And that guy ended up becoming a squatter, didn't want to leave, but now he was also beating her up.
The squatters. I've had a squatter.
Yeah.
The squatters is a whole.
That's a whole different story. But we're problem solvers, right? That's our opportunity. Typically, that's where like you find tired landlords, absentee owner. Like that's how you can get deals because they don't want to deal with that.
That's a motivated seller.
Right. So if you can help them get rid, that's where I had to help her get rid of them. That's how I got the deal. Anyway, so that guy now he was beating up the tenant inside the house. So now it became like this like how would you call it, domestic abuse? I guess like he was really beating her up. So that day that we walked through, he was asleep. The guy was asleep, completely drunk, whatever. So she came downstairs, the tenant, and she grabbed us in the kitchen and she started crying. Please save me, help me. I swear to God, she started crying. Like he punches me, like you can see like her freaking I was about to cross. Like her face completely anyway. But we obviously kind of get involved. And this is Maryland. This is in Catonsville, Maryland, and Maryland is very tenant friendly. Not only tenant friendly, but squatters have rights. They have squatter rights. So if they receive one letter inside your property, you're gonna have to take them to court to evict them, even if they broke your window and live inside the house. You cannot just come and kick them out. So this lady been trying to call the police for over 6 months to come and kick them out. They can't. The court keep postponing the eviction. They'll give her a date.
COVID.
Yeah, when COVID was like almost
Everybody.
So they keep just but now she was also afraid because she discovered that the squatter, he's a sex offender listed online. And she lives like 5 minutes away from the property. And she was afraid that he would discover where she lives, and do something to her. So that's the story she didn't want to like happen with somebody on the phone and talk about. So she's avoiding that, and she just hiding, behind text message. So, I ended up like helping her get rid of the guy, get rid of the lady. Ended up doing a subject to transaction. I ended up finding out cash offer is not a good fit. We turned it into a subject to deal. I signed it, made like $17,500 on that, right? So earlier, like you were saying, for the hot, warm, and cold, we do the same. But like for me, a cold lead, still a lead that has motivation. It's just they're not ready yet. They're probably going to be ready only in 3 months, but they have a reason for selling. But if they don't have a reason for selling, have you ever closed anybody who have zero reason for selling?
Yes.
How?
So, well, you said so many things that I want to touch bases on really quick. So there's a few things that you said that I want to touch bases on. You said something where I want to say, for me, to protect us as a company when we're like under contract, and so that way, someone doesn't hit our seller and say, hey, we can pay you more. We do memorandums. So,
we filed memorandums.
So that's something that, but I didn't know that early on into the industry, right? That's like a gem.
What is a memorandum of contract for a newbie?
So a memorandum is basically a way you can kind of cloud the title. So you have a contract in place, and basically, if you want to go sell to someone else, they're gonna have to now buy me out. And this has happened numerous times for us. So we've probably made like 30 grand probably in that year. Just from memorandums, people ghosting us and then trying to go backdoor sell it for another 5 grand, and then they're like, how much do you want? We're like, oh, well, our contract was 20,000, so we want 20. Okay, you don't want 20? Okay. And so I don't have the conversation. I have my attorney do it. Okay, well, you got to make it make sense. Pay her 10. Yeah. It's just you make the number up.
I made 20 grand in last December, just like that. From memorandum in Florida.
There's so many ways you can make money in this industry, because at the end of the day, if you sign this contract and you say you're going to sell me, I had every intention.
Yes.
I had the intent to buy your home.
Yeah. And
you didn't sell it to me, even though you were under contract, because you were greedy for 5 grand more.
Yes.
So not only is it going to take you longer to get this money, now your potential new buyer is going to have to buy me out because I have the rights to the property.
Right.
So that's a way that you can make money. Now, granted, don't take advantage of a memorandum. Don't put someone in a cloud just to
There's
make
people
money.
that do that.
People do it.
There's people in jail in Arizona right now because of memorandums.
Really?
Yes.
So like I'm not surprised, because like it could be, there's a gray area with it. And for us, we don't even do memorandums right away. We only do memorandums once we know for sure we're actually going to buy this property. We're going to start clearing the title, and we're taking this property. I'm not going to just go cloud your title day one. Like that's shady. Like I'm going to cloud your title once we're invested. We've put the earnest money down.
You're going to close.
Yeah. So that way, day 17, 3 days before closing, you decide. Susie on my phone just said she was going to pay me $20,000 more, not knowing she's going to go to your property and probably renegotiate that price point. So that was one thing I wanted to touch bases on.
100%. It's funny because I was going to bring it up, to give newbies tip on that. But one thing, guys, you have no right to file a memorandum on a property unless your purchase and sale agreement specifically says that you have the right to do so.
But that actually is depending on the state. That is not legally in every single state. It's
so
started.
You can file.
There's some states that don't require that.
You can file without having it inside on your contract.
Yes.
Okay. So,
but our contracts, we now have it in place because we're in multiple markets. But starting out, you don't, like for example, the state of Georgia, you don't have to have that in your contract.
Yeah.
So it just depends on it. But whereas like Arizona, I know North Carolina, you have
Maryland,
to have
you gotta have.
You have to even now in some states disclose that you're a wholesaler. Like,
right.
you want a wholesaler.
It have to be licensed too now
Yeah.
in certain states.
So
Maryland actually just passed a law.
Really?
Maryland have it. Arizona. You gotta disclose now that you're a wholesaler and you gotta have a license.
And even with that, there's loopholes with that.
Now. No, there is for sure, and we're gonna get into that.
Double close.
But exactly. But also for me, because of all those new rules and regulations, even in states where they say don't do it, I would still do it. I would still have that clause in my contract. I'm telling you, like, guys, do it right. That's number one.
But
number two, I have a lot of it costs nothing to have that line in your contract.
Yeah, but I do think it does cost you something because like there's been we have more than one contract that we use, and I've done testing on it, and there is, in my opinion, a seller might not sign the contract to you because they want to deal with the end buyer. If they see, and this is like literally, I've seen it statistically.
Oh, I'm not talking about the clause to say I'm a wholesaler. That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm talking about the memorandum clause.
Yeah, so
yeah, no, I'm not talking about
even that, or even having a clause like, you know, obviously you can not just wholesale, you can do novations and listing.
Right.
We have a clause we have one contract where we have a clause where it says that we have the right to list your property unless send it to sister companies or power of attorney, and then we've seen where sellers sometimes be like, I don't like that. Why does it say that? Do what you own my house. So like if someone doesn't like it, we'll say, okay, you know what? We can either put in the provisions that clause doesn't pertain to this property, or we can send them other property that doesn't have it in there at all. So I have noticed that you can have a seller like give you pushback depending on those small details. Like to us, it's not a big deal because we understand that verbiage, but the biggest thing, the reason why I think people sign our contracts is because I feel like it's dumb proof. Like it protects us, but it's not. You can read it like without feeling like, let me go hire a lawyer and read this. Like that's something that when I had our contracts made, that I wanted to make sure, you know, someone that doesn't have like lawyer experience or has never sold a home should be able to understand it. So our contract is less than 2 pages, and you should be able to read it and understand.
Yeah, that's a straight wholesaling. That's exactly how you want to have it. You want to keep it as simple as possible. You have to remember, like most people, the average seller don't know nothing about real estate. Will only sell one house in their life. So you want to keep things simple, late term. For me in my company, we also have only like when it comes to wholesaling, it's really not complicated. But even with that one, we have a very, to me, before the seller sign, I literally tell them exactly. I walk them through the contract and I explain to them why. Like, because I know certain clauses can come, like for example, the listing part. We have the right to list it, blah, blah, blah. I call this like addressing, the black swan, addressing the elephant in the room. It's like address it beforehand so it doesn't become an objection later. Hey, just so you know, you're going to see this in the contract, but don't worry about it. It's because of this. It's because of this. We want to do this. So they don't even bring it up because I already brought it up before they even saw it. So that's how we address it personally. We like addressing issues before the seller starts. Yeah.
So, and then like even with that, it's cool to even hear like that's how you guys do it. Like for us, the way my team goes about it is they'll say like, hey, we want to buy this property for us, but just so you know, we do offer other services. We can also list it for you with no agent fee or commission, or we have other exit strategies that we can help you. We have a lot of affiliations and partnerships with hedge funds and sister companies that also may be interested in it. If you are at some point interested, or during our due diligence we come to the realization this property is not for us, we can help you still move your property and give you sometimes higher than what we would pay. So that's how we sell it to our sellers. Yeah.
Guys, she just gave you a script. This is the whole script. If I was you, I would write it down line by line. That's a script right there.
Yeah. So
do you have free scripts for newbies? Did you get?
I got scripts that I guess I could.
Link
if you
in your bio?
me, I don't have it in my bio. But if you DM me, say, hey, look, can you give me a script? I'll give you the script.
Okay. All right, guys. DM her. That's a script right there. Okay. So with that being said, how long did it take you to get your first deal? Like let me not.
6 weeks.
Okay, your first. Let me say this. Not your first deal like contract, but like your first have your check in hand, like your first check. How long?
So I started learning October 2021. I got my first contract signed first week of November, and I got another one signed the week of Thanksgiving, which is that's the one that was my first closing. And then I got 3 more that's signed from Thanksgiving up until Christmas. And then my first closing, and I remember it till today, was December 17th. and it was supposed to be like a $15K deal. It ended up being only like $5,000, but the whole journey was so crazy because obviously I was JVing with my mentor, and I don't know what made me think of this, but I had told him, I said, should we just like maybe ask the buyer if like if we come down the price, would they still buy it? Because they try to back out saying that the number didn't work. And he was like, yeah, we can. And he was like, I know this buyer, usually they don't go for that. And for whatever reason, I asked, and then they're like, oh yeah, we can do it. We can move forward.
Oh wow.
And so I was able to close it, and although it was only $5,000, and at the time he was used to like 50K or more deals.
Right.
He's like, I'm happy for you. Just keep that. I don't even care about the JV. Yeah, he's like, I'm just happy you got it. And then I got another one, and then he was like, oh, this is a deal. Like, this is going to be a good one for you. And then my second deal was $34,000. So, like, it went for 5K.
$34,000.
So the 5K was 2 days before Christmas, and then the 34K one was the day before New Year's Eve. So, like, all before the year was over. And then literally, like, I went back home because, you know, I live in LA, but I'm from Sacramento. So I was in the Bay. My dad was in the Bay. And I went to visit some family, my cousin, who's my acquisition manager now. And literally, like, we went to a bar, and I was just telling her, like, how I just got into real estate. And, like, I was like, I don't know, girl, I feel like this is, like, about to take off. Like, it makes sense. It's working. I was like, I just can't wait until I can afford to hire a team. I said, I hired these VAs. It didn't work, but I can't wait to be able to bring on a team. She was like, I'm willing to just learn from you and just like get involved. Like, I know that if you're invested and you're doing it, that means it makes sense. Literally, I was like, we were just literally at the bar, like just talking. And then I'm like, okay, well, I was like, I'm down to tell you because literally, like, me and her worked at.
That's crazy.
Like, people like will probably laugh at this, but like we worked at Skechers together, like the shoe company, back in high school, like, and we were like their top sellers, like. And she was like, you know, we always work together, cousin. Like, let's do it. And I'm like, okay, bet. Like, I'll teach you. Like, I was like, but just no go into this. Like, there's no promises, there's no guarantees. Like, you might waste your time, you might never get a deal closed. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Right. And so. Literally, January 4th is the day I trained her because like my car got broken into New Year's. Long story. I ended up training her January 4th. These days really are so crazy because I trained her January 4th. She got a deal signed on January 5th. I cannot make it up. Within 24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours. This girl learned the concept, started reaching out, doing marketing, and sent an offer and got on the phone with this lady and got her to sign the contract.
She just went into CRM and started working leads, basically.
No, it was a fresh lead.
Nope. Oh, it was a fresh lead.
It was a fresh lead.
From text campaign?
That was a text campaign, yep.
So you mainly, is your business model like mainly, do you mostly do texting more?
That is, I would say 90% of our deals. Okay. Maybe 85.
Actually, it works great, guys. Texting really works.
But you have to know how to like set up your text templates and all that stuff.
Right.
And that's one thing like that my cousin would say is my training style is like very like my mentor taught me action based. Like you're gonna see results if you're action. So like I would literally sit on Google Meets with her and like she would just be watching me work. She would hear me making the calls because like I'm just starting out. I didn't have like a team or nothing yet. Right. So I'm calling the buyers, just connecting. She's hearing how I'm building rapport. He's like, oh, my son goes to Sac State. I'm like, oh yeah, like yeah, I just like got an office in Atlanta, but I'm from Sacramento, born and raised. Yeah, I know where Natomas is. Like I'm finding reasons to connect with a seller that has nothing to do with it. I don't live in Atlanta, but I'm just saying that to build a rapport, right? And so she's seeing how I'm doing. She's like, oh, okay. It's kind of like I always say, like if you can finesse, like if you have like a mouthpiece,
yes,
you can convince a seller to want to you want to build that rapport. 100%. And so I think that's why she was able to get on my phone and get that lady to sign. And literally 20 some days later, and obviously there was roadblocks around it. We had I'm trying to figure out how to renegotiate and have the lady come down in price and figure out how to say things, but we got the deal closed. And the rest is history. And she's my best acquisitions. She got 70 deals under contract last year. So, and that's somebody 70. Wow. We had 100 out of 105, 70 were hers. So that tells you right there, like how good she's been able to learn. So it's possible.
That's crazy. So far you guys have done what? How many deals in total?
Closed. Yeah. Closed 47 today. As of today, 47.
47 deals, guys. 47. So if you have to put a number on them, how much is it total? Like in assignment fees?
Well, they're not all assignments, but well over $1 million.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, even if they're not, but like over $1 million.
Yeah, we made $1 million our first year.
$1 million. Okay. $1 million.
Oh, if I had my phone, I could show you guys.
First year.
Hold on, I could.
First year, guys. Just tap in with her on her Instagram. Here's what I love about real estate, guys, is you can make up everything about like crypto and stocks, and it's like I cannot ask you your HUDs. And look, real estate guys, if you think somebody's fake, just ask them their HUDs. Okay, just it's really easy. Ask them their HUDs. They cannot fake it. That's what I love. She's legit, the real deal.
Yeah,
the first year, $1 million, no money. Started with no money. She had money, but she could have done it without money, but no experience whatsoever. And the key thing, guys, this is like so key. Picking one mentor. I see so many people following every single body. Okay, they listen to Max Maxwell, they listen to Jamil, and they listen to all these gurus online. And then every single time they listen to a new guru, they want to try that new strategy that person is talking about. So for me, I did the same thing that she did when I first got started, when I discovered wholesaling. I discovered one person online on YouTube that was dumbing it down enough to where I understand, I relate, I like listening to him, and he was giving practical advice. I just started doing that, and I never listened to anybody else about wholesaling real estate.
So
right?
It was $1,054,000.
$1,054,000 freaking dollars, guys. $1,054,000. In case you doubt it. Oh, it's blurry. Can't see it, but listen.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not here. You don't even need to prove that to people. But guys, pick one mentor. That's number one, because the more people you listen to, the more confused you get, the more confused you are. Because confused minds always freezes. Like you freeze, you don't know what to do. Okay. And then another thing is, guys, like you wanna. This is all about action. It's a business that is very simple, but it's not easy. The consistency gotta be there. The comfort, like, if I see a lot of people like say, well, I don't like talking to strangers, though. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, okay, but you're gonna have to come out of it. I'm sorry, because this is the business we're in.
I agree with that. Actually,
you have to talk to somebody.
But you know why?
How?
Let me explain. And I'm surprised you're not going to say this because of like.
I don't agree that you can do this business without talking to people. I don't agree.
Well, you got to know what you're good at, right?
Right.
So like maybe you're not good at the negotiation part. That's when you bring in a partner or someone that may like a closer. Not everyone will close. Like
no. Get what I'm saying? Here's what I'm saying. Let me clarify before you comment on it. Here's what I'm saying. If you get into this business, you're gonna have to either text or cold call to generate leads, or you're gonna have to pay PPC or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, somebody, so either your first touch is through text, but somebody have to get on the phone and negotiate. I know it doesn't have to be you. Like if you don't know how to negotiate, like there's integrators, right? There's people out here that don't know how to do systems.
Okay.
I understand that. But even the integrators, they have to put marketing in place and text.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to reach out to people in order to generate leads. Mm-hmm. But even my integrators that are like super like reserved and stuff, listen, on my team, like even the buyers and stuff, they nurture that relationship. At some point, I don't know. It's hard for me to scale this business always being in my own bubble and I don't want to talk to anybody. That's not something I really believe.
I agree. No, okay, well, if you put it that way, then I totally understand.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Cause like, but I guess like for me right now, cause I have a team. Like I've been as an owner, I've been learning. You know, you might not be able to do A to Z, and I don't need you to know how to do A to Z. And that's something that I had to learn as I was building out my system, my automations, and
100%.
My team. That you might be a great initial contact. You might be able to know how to text, talk, email, or even have that first initial call.
Yes.
But you might not be the person that knows how to get them to sign. It's a difference. So that's what I was going to say.
100%. That's why the process in wholesaling real estate is you have the cold calling, texting, initial touch, and then you have the lead management, that's nurturing the lead and stuff. If they're not ready to make a decision, follow-ups and all of that. And then you have the acquisition, which is the person that actually negotiates and know how to close sellers. So like you don't have to know it all, but you have to do one thing. You gotta have a skill. Okay. The other thing is now that you've done 40, you guys have done way over 40 deals. Okay, and obviously you've learned by doing wholesaling, fix and flips, novations. You've learned that it's not always pink and rainbows and know what I mean. So on this market specifically in 2023, what advice would you give to somebody that is like wanting to get started in this market? Number one, is it the right market to start wholesaling? That's number one. To get into wholesaling, for a newbie. Number two, what strategies, I guess, would you tell them to maybe, use on this market specifically?
Okay. So obviously, for me, like I'm new still. Like a lot of people look at me like I'm experienced, and like transitioning from a seller's market to a buyer's market, it was like learning the business all over again. Like literally there was days where I was so stressed out because I'm like, dang, was I just lucky? Like did I not have a real skill? I questioned myself a lot, and I had to realize that, okay, you've perfected wholesaling, but as a real estate investor, you're not an investor until you really get to investing and buying properties, and wholesaling is just like the starter pack introduction to get in, make quick money, little no income or capital. Like that's what that is. I feel like as a buyer's market, you gotta know other strategies. You gotta know how to list the property. You gotta know how to negotiate, get it lower down. You gotta be able to focus on a certain type of distressed, motivated seller. And in my opinion, I think that like you've been saying is this is a creative financing, seller financing, sub 2 type of market, because you can be able to offer them more or the price point that they want. People be stuck on the price they want. And as a cash offer, you know what your buyers want, especially once you get experience. Like I know my buyers ain't paying more than 70% ARV right now.
100%.
And it's like, and your average person is not selling at 50%. That's 50% off. You have to be desperate to sell your house 50% off.
You have to be motivated.
That's
the motivated seller.
You gotta be motivated. That's the key way of saying desperate, right? I just say it black and white. You're desperate if you're selling your house 30%, 40%, 50%. 100%. So it's like coming into this industry during the pandemic and coming in, during a seller's market where literally you could sell it at 95, 100% ARV and still make 20, 40, 50 grand.
Right.
Like now you have to work way harder to get the deal under contract. As a newbie, can you get into wholesale and make money? Yes, I do, but I'm a transparent person. I feel like your spreads are not going to be 50 grand right now.
Yeah, right now.
Unless you're getting like a foreclosure type thing, a rare scenario like that. As a wholesale deal, I feel like your spreads are going to be smaller. I think in 2023, what we've seen in my KPIs is the average is between 12 and 15,000 right now.
Exactly.
Which granted, there's people out here that 12, 15 grand, I mean, you might not make that in 6 months of you working 9 to 5, 40 hours.
There's people right now don't have $500 in their bank account.
So that's a great start. But just know that that's just the beginning. You can get to a bigger end goal. And for me as an owner, and I'm teaching my team, I have to figure out other strategies. So from wholesaling, I got into novations, listing properties. We also got into fix and flips. Obviously, if we couldn't sell it as a wholesale deal, we gonna make it be fixable and then go sell it, right?
One-stop shop.
Yeah, and then as the market got even worse, interest rates are going up. I'm like, okay, this is still not working, but I still see people closing deals. There gotta be a way. Like, there's no way that we're waking up and doing this every day and our deals have drastically cut back.
Right.
So, and like for me, again, I'm a transparent person. We had 10, 15 deals consistently every single month, 100K months consistently. And once I seen us start declining, I said, I gotta figure it out. I gotta figure out something for my team. And that's why I was so motivated to like learn seller financing stuff too. Know the creative strategy, because then I could teach my team to be able to tell these sellers, hey, look, I know everyone is on your phone probably right now telling you 100,000 cash, but what if I could offer you 120 over time? So
boom, turn the seller into the bank.
That's the sauce right now.
Guys, no, that's the sauce right now. Let me tell you, in 2023, you better have more than one tool in your tool belt. But one key takeaway you need to take from this is every market is a good market to get into, wholesaling and real estate in general. You just need to find what tool is working on that market. That's it. Every market, even back in 08, when you think about back in 08, when everybody was getting foreclosed on, savvy investors was making money. There's opportunities. You know what I mean? So on this market right now, it's not your typical cookie cutter cash offer 70% ARV that you hear gurus talk about online a lot, which is for clickbaits, right?
Yeah.
That works on this market. Doesn't mean you're not gonna hit one or two, but like if you really want to have a consistent business that actually do deals, you are going to have to use creative finance. Here's the great thing about creative finance though, guys. That's seller finance. That's when you turn the seller into the bank, have equity, give them full asking, give them a down payment, make them monthly payments. Subject to, on the other hand, they have to have a mortgage. A lot of sellers right now are stuck with turnkey properties on the market, guys, and they have zero equity. Now, if you guys listen, if you're new, if I ask you right now, let's say I have a house that is worth $425,000 and the seller owe $400,000 on that property, and I ask you how much equity they have, you're probably going to tell me $25,000. No, they don't. They actually have negative equity, because if they list that house at 425, they have
Agent
the commissions,
fees.
agent fees.
Closing costs.
Basically, I'm going to keep it simple for you. On average, nationwide, it costs about 8% to sell a home in the US. Most people don't know that. 8%. Okay? So they might have to write a check to sell their home. So right now, if you can offer them to where, hey, how about you just leave the mortgage in place. Let me take it over. Let me take over just the responsibility of making the payments. I'm going to keep making those payments on your behalf. I take, instead of you having to write a check to sell your home, I will write you a check to move out or whatever it is. Pay all the closing. Guys, they will do it all day. That's called subject to. But the great thing about this tool works both on good and bad markets. Because if you think about, if you go back on like when you first got started, right? If you notice, 80% of people always say what? No, I don't want it. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell, right? Like I want the price that I want. So by using this tool from January to December, your conversion rate actually go up. Because now all the people that don't want to take your 70% offer, guess what? You can offer them 100% of their asking as long as they're willing to give terms. That's what changed the game for me.
Yeah.
And it was a good market. My problem was I had all these sellers in my CRM that are motivated, they want to sell, they're just married to a number, and I couldn't figure it out.
That was us.
I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, man, this person wants, 250, and every buyer is telling me they have to be at 150. But they want to sell. They really want to see the property go. And I remember one of the gurus that I reached out to at the time. Luckily, I didn't sign up with him. He told me, no, stay away from like all these creative, bro. Because I'm like, there has to be a solution for these people. And I don't know what happened. Maybe the universe, whatever. Because I was doing a lot of research at the time. Sitting in my Uber Lyft at the time, I was doing real estate. And then I turned on a podcast because I stopped listening to music. I was only listening to podcasts in my car. And that podcast was Steve Trent's podcast. It was, they call it Real Estate Disruptors. And one of the guests there was Space Morby talking about creative finance. And he was breaking down how he's closing all these sellers that want like 100% this price. They're married to it, but I was like, that's my solution. I started screaming in the car, it's my solution, it's my damn solution. Next day, anyway, long story short, guys, 2023, that's what works. So do the research, leave a comment below if you want to know more about it. My channel is full of creative finance, content, guys, and we're gonna keep bringing more. And she will keep talking about it more because now she's getting into it. Because right now, guys, the deals that they were closing is kind of going. The amount of deals is going down. But with this new strategy, you guys are reviving a lot of dead deals. A lot,
and that's like I think that's a takeaway too for people, especially if you're already in the industry and you're trying to figure out how to not end up back at a 9 to 5.
Right.
Go through your CRM. You have money in the pipeline.
Yes.
That's something he says all the time.
Yes.
And like even this week, just from like me initially training my team, like giving them new strategies. Like I think we have like seven deals right now. So,
100%.
And like those would not have been cash offers right now because it's like some people like I want to sell, but I'd rather just wait until it turns around because I'm not selling for 50% off.
100%.
So I tell people all the time, you usually don't close a deal on the first deal. It takes up to 12 touches. Like there's been deals. We had a lady recently. We touched that lead 22 times over a year. So it took her 22 times, 22 follow-ups for her to sign. And I say that it might take you 25, 50, 10 times, or it might take for you to give them another solution.
That's
or
the
another
hardest
option to solve the solution or problem.
That's the hardest part in our business, in this wholesaling business. Most people that give up and completely disappears is the follow-up they cannot stand.
Yeah.
They don't understand the money is in the follow-up.
That's where the money resides.
That's where the biggest work is, and most people that's where they cannot be consistent.
Yeah.
They follow guys like we've had contracts where we followed up 2 freaking years, and people are like, "Why would you talk?" Because eventually they'll make a decision, and the follow-up process is just staying in front of the person, making sure they don't forget. Because trust me, they're talking to other people. You're not special, so it's just staying in front of them and keeping up with Because like some people sometimes it's not necessarily that they don't want to sell right now.
They're not ready.
It's just they're not ready to take the decision. But if you pick up that, this person will make a decision at some point based on something they told you that they're paying, whatever, maybe the properties, it doesn't matter. At some point they'll make the decision. So whoever keep up with them, you know what happens to some newbies? They're like, well, I feel like I'm disturbing people when I call them like 7 times.
No.
I'm like,
You're not the only one.
somebody else is sitting there calling them 10 times while you're thinking you're disturbing somebody. So,
yeah, I mean, essentially, I was going to say the same thing. Like, don't think that you're bothering someone, or even just go about it like asking them, like, hey, like, you know, when should I follow up? I know you said you want to sell, but you're not ready yet. Like, should I follow up every 30 days, every 6 months, you know, once a year? Like, you know, you can even ask them. And if they give you permission, you need to follow up. Put them in your pipeline, create automations, create a system, and
it's funny, most sellers will tell you yes, follow up. If they're interested, at some point they'll take a decision. So last thing, you know, let people know what market you're in, how can they connect with you, tap in with you, okay? And which markets can people bring you deals as well?
Well, I mean, we have buyers across the nation. So, I mean, pretty much you can call me and say, hey, I have a deal in Kansas. If it's a deal, we can help you. But our main markets is Georgia. That's where I would say 80% of our deals are happening.
Oh, Georgia, okay.
Georgia.
One of my
Florida.
favorite markets.
Yeah, that's my bread and butter. That's where I started and that's where I'm finished.
Nice.
That's it. Also Florida, Tennessee, Memphis specifically is a great area.
Nice.
North Carolina, that's like, I mean, I feel like that they're like slowly moving up to number 2. Like,
Hey, we're sitting in
we're in Silva, North Carolina.
Silva, North Carolina right now. It's funny because we actually came here for a creative finance deal that you guys revived it, right?
No, so well, I think we have different terms of it, but basically we've had it under contract since March. We tried to do a wholesale with it. Didn't work. We listed it as like a novation type thing. Obviously, we had offers, but like it just the type of the houses, it either needs to be a flip or obviously a creative financing.
Yeah.
So
we'll revive it.
So basically, we've just been going through all of our options,
Right?
And we finally came to terms with something that works, and they're willing to do seller financing, and so now we're gonna turn it into an Airbnb. So.
Into a cabin Airbnb, guys. So we're reviving it. That's the only reason why we're sitting here in Silva, North Carolina. Guys, North Carolina is a great cash flow market. I don't care what nobody tell you. Living here, I don't know, but like this is a nice area. Like they have all these cabins, Airbnb cabins on top of the mountains. The views are beautiful. The food is good, I think.
Yeah.
We did test the local food. But anyway, guys, listen. This is also the beauty about real estate.
And it shows you because like you don't have to be in Atlanta or Los Angeles or a major market. Like I mean, this is a place you could have never told me in a million years I would be in right now.
Right.
So like I was like, why are people coming here? Like I don't understand. And the numbers are there, the comps are there, the data's there. Like just because you might not visit it doesn't mean that other people won't visit it or it's not growing.
And the beauty for us, you could have done this deal sitting in your couch in Cali, never came to see the property and still do the deal, get it done, never see the property. Right?
And that's one thing that I also forgot to say. Those 46 deals, I've only seen one of them in real life.
Virtual boom, guys.
Virtual
come
wholesaling.
So, all right, let people know what social media do.
Yes,
how can they find
you can find me on all platforms. It's Brittanie Marie with a Z, ITZ, Brittanie Marie. So.
Okay, we'll put it in the description below.
Yeah.
What else? One last word for them. Nothing. A wise word.
I would just say keep going, don't give up. It might be a hard market right now, but there's a solution for anything that you want to do. Wholesaling works, creative financing works, novations works. You just gotta figure out your sauce and stick with it. If you're not a quitter, you're gonna see success. If you stay consistent, you're gonna make some money.
That's a mic
one way
drop.
or another. So
that is a boom mic drop, guys. Listen, the work works. It's funny.
Yeah.
But the work works.
Yep.
All right, guys. This I cannot tell you everything else. Guys, make sure you follow her. That's number one. Number two, go like, subscribe her YouTube channel. She actually got a YouTube channel as well. She'll be dropping jams over there. Not only are you gonna learn about wholesaling, trading, man, her background is heavy, guys. Definitely tap in with her. And as always, it was your host, Mamadou, and this is the Bold Effect Podcast. And I think she was bold enough, right? Wasn't this bold? And so, guys, like I always say, if you want to be successful, you gotta have these four components in your damn life, all right? The B stands for bold, obsessed, You gotta have an ongoing mindset. Never stop learning, never stop growing. And then the M is for mindset. You gotta have the right mindset in order to start making money. So guys, start taking action. Stop overthinking it. Stop following every single guru you see online. Just follow one thing and just do it until you prove the concept, then start learning something new. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Tap in with me on all social media platforms: Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, everything, guys. All right? Stay bold and be bold. Boom, boom, boom.